all the things the doctors told me in terms of IBS. I tried the low FODMAP diet, tried vegetarian diet, tried whole foods, plant-based, eliminate processed stuff. I did that for like a year and I was still suffering. That's one thing that drives me nuts too. I get so many people on my channel that are like, you would have done the same thing if you just got rid of the junk food. And I yo-yoed on a ketogenic diet for probably 10 years. And there was a year straight where I was strict, clean, single ingredient, whole foods, organic, nuts and vegetables and plants and stuff like that. I still had horrible depression. I still had IBS. I still had gout. Like, it did not fix those things. And that was my big realization as well on carnivore. It wasn't that I'm just eliminating processed junk. Of course, that's a huge part of the puzzle. It was that I also added the fatty meat that has been demonized for years and years and years. I really believe that I was deficient in fatty meat. I ate that fatty meat. Yeah, my cholesterol went up, but my hormones balanced, my sleep improved, my immune system got stronger, and my depression went away. And my sleep improved drastically. I think all of those things are related to our hormones. And when we're not eating fatty meat, our hormones are completely messed out, or we're deficient in some of those things. So, Dr. Nelson.
Good morning.
How's it going?
Doing all right. How are you doing?
Good.
Well, isn't it true that doctors also have been brainwashed? And so, I don't blame the doctors. I think our job is to rescue them also.
Yeah, I think they need rescue. And I love doctors too, because I feel like so many of them, you guys included, like, you became doctors because you wanted to heal people and help people. Some of them have gone down the wrong path, unfortunately, but some of it frustrates me though, because it's like, I barely graduated high school and I was able to figure some of this stuff out. You guys have figured this out. There's lots of good doctors out there figuring it out. So it's like, if you're dedicating your life to healing and people are coming back over and over and over again, and they're not healing and they're getting sicker and sicker, you should probably change what you're doing. But I think you're right. Part of it is awareness. And Dr. Nelson gave me a good lesson on this before as well. He's like, listen, I talked to patient after patient about nutrition. None of them listen. So like, after you do that 1,000 times, like, what are you going to do over and over again? You can only say it so many times. But I guess my thing would be, if someone is coming into you completely desperate, like I was, I need medication, I'm suicidally depressed, like, what am I going to do? You have to, like, be able to get the message across at that point, I guess.
Oh, Dr. Nelson.
I'm here.
Hey, there's D. Lee. D. Lee came out to our meetup in Chicago. D. Lee gifted me an awesome set of socks. I should be wearing them right now too, because we're at negative 10 degrees out behind me here.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Well, I'm down in Sarasota. It's frigid here, raining, cold, but not quite the northern temps.
Not the same as Wisconsin, certainly. I'm at 44 right now in Central Florida.
Oh, nice.
Well, tell us a little bit about the meetups and how important it is for all of us to heal and to show up at these meetups.
I think the meetups are critically important. I heard this quote before, that you are the sum result of the 5 people you spend the most of your time with. And I believe that to be true. And it's hard being carnivore, spending time with people that are succeeding, that have their health, because you're usually the odd one out. So getting in a community, whether that's Kiltz Mighty Tribe online or a meetup in person, I think it's hugely important. For me, I didn't want to be around people for a very long time until I found carnivore, and now it's completely reversed for me. But I think a lot of people are that way. But I would just tell people, if you have the opportunity to go to a meetup, do it. And you will thank me afterwards, and then you'll be addicted and want to do it over and over again. The energy at these meetups is incredible. You're finally in a place with like-minded individuals that get it, and it's just, the energy is just crazy. I mean, you're in a group of people that have found healing. It's incredible. But to hear the stories, to share the stories, and to talk to other individuals, it's just been great. And it's almost like Dr. Kiltz, we're going on a world carnivore tour of meetups at this point. Dr. Kiltz came out to our UK meetup. We had one in Arizona, Chicago. I've had 2 or 3 at Montello Theater, one that Dr. Kiltz came out to. But I would literally go every weekend if they were just planned. Just the logistics of planning them is the only barrier at this point.
Well, I think that's something we all need to be thinking about, because as you put your energy, your time, your mindset, you infuse your life with carnivore lifestyle.
Right.
And we use carnivore lifestyle because carnivores eat meat. And I don't like the word animal based personally, because you're either a carnivore, an omnivore, or an herbivore. And last I looked, carnivore just heals more than anything. What's your take on why carnivore seems to be the game changer?
Yeah, I love this question. I thought about this a lot because early on I thought, I'm eating fatty meat, I'm getting in ketosis. I've learned that the heart and the brain perform more efficiently while in ketosis. I learned that babies are born into ketosis. So I thought that was part of the reason. I think that's a big part of it. But the other kind of epiphany I had later was, I believe that eating carnivore right now, January 2025, in this day and age, in this very moment, is the cleanest, most natural foods we can eat, given the 60,000 options in the grocery store. And there's all sorts of issues with plants and fruits and vegetables that we've talked about. But even beyond some of the ones that you guys have talked about, Dr. Chafee's talked about, defense mechanisms, toxins in the plants, things like that, I think a bigger problem is what man is doing to change these things. Like an apple today is just a big ball of sugar. It used to be this big, and we're addicted to sugar. I'm addicted to sugar. I can't moderate my sugar addiction. If I were to go eat an apple right now, I would be jonesing for more sugar, and then I would be eating more junk food, and I'd be going down that rabbit hole. But besides that, it's just glyphosate and pesticides and all of this stuff. I think that glyphosate is I would like to do a documentary episode entirely on glyphosate, because I've been going down that rabbit hole, and it is crazy how prevalent glyphosate is. It's literally like every time you eat a bowl of cereal, you're ingesting glyphosate. If you look up glyphosate, it's actually an antibiotic. So we're consuming low levels of antibiotics chronically for years and years, decades and decades, and everyone's gut is ruined. Everyone has leaky gut. All disease begins in the gut. So long answer, a little bit too long. I think that the reason it's working so well is it's literally the most, I want to debate people on this, because I think there's no more natural foods we can eat right now than ruminant meat, beef.
I'm trying to figure out, like 50,000 years ago, you and I said, let's go hunting for some tomatoes. Let's see if we can take down a tomato plant.
Right.
And share that with our brothers and sisters. We're going to be having Noah Whiteman on in March. Really excited about most delicious poison. And what poisons come from ribeye steak, Dr. Vasquez and Kerry?
I don't think there's any.
Lions.
Right.
You become bit by the lion. You become the lion, right?
Absolutely.
I left some of that poison last night, about 5 pounds of beef back ribs in the slow cooker with some beef broth, which I'm smelling right now. And I've been fasting since Sunday. So I think I'm going to do an early breakfast today.
Nice.
What about fasting? Can you guys tell us about your take on fasting and how important fasting is in this journey? Because I know, Kerry, you've done like some seven plus days with Jeff on his journey, and what are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, for me, the longest I did was an 8-day with Jeff, and that was a water fast. And then about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I did a almost 3-day. I was about 3 hours short of doing a 3-day dry fast. And I have this rule, Dr. Kiltz, in my head when I try to think about all these different things coming about with carnivore diet or nutrition or whatever. And it's, what would we have done since the start of time? What is ancestrally appropriate? And I feel like fasting is something that we would have naturally done. I like to look out, like I got a forest behind me here. I look out in the woods and I think about, like you said earlier, out here, we would have been lucky you catch a big animal, and you'd feast on that animal, and you'd probably fast for a day, maybe 3 days, maybe a week. And here, by the way, too, we get wild berries, and it's like a couple of weeks in summer. That's it. There's no other fruits or vegetables. There's not tomatoes growing in the woods out there. There's nothing. You could eat bark or maybe a couple of berries in the middle of summertime. So, but I think fasting is one of the most natural things. It's interesting. I found it's weird talking about fasting because a lot of people, they get real nervous about it, real like, just eat. Why don't you just, it's almost like talking about carnivore for the first time when someone hasn't heard carnivore. A lot of people think fasting is insane, but I feel like it's the most natural thing we've done since the start of time. And every time I fasted, I felt absolutely incredible. I felt good. So I don't need to fast. I'm not doing it for weight loss. I just do it because I feel good doing it. So I'm probably going to be doing some more dry fasting regularly. I always encourage people when they hear this too, and they think, Kerry, you're crazy, you don't need to do this. Just do some more research. There's a great book called The Phoenix Protocol by August Dunning that I read that talks all about dry fasting, and thousands of people in Russia that have dry fasted and overcome just crazy health issues, like even more than you hear on carnivore via dry fasting. So those are my thoughts.
What's the longest that they talk about fasting through the Phoenix Protocol?
There was some crazy stats in there. Like I want to say, I'm probably going to mess this up because I'm bad remembering numbers, but I want to say someone in that book was talking about like well over 21 days. I know there was a guy that did a wet fast for like, didn't he go like a year or something crazy?
Over a year.
Yeah.
Many organisms, other animals and bugs and microbes. I mean, the tardigrade, guys, years without ever consuming food and is still alive. So I think we just don't understand. The truth is that we're meant to get fat and then go on a fast, hibernate, migration, nesting, and so the getting fat. There's nothing pathologically wrong with us. The problem is that we've created a summer fall environment to eat as much of the carbohydrates that might have been available that we might have been able to consume. I look at bears more than anything, but last I looked, we're not very good at eating grass, are we?
No.
I don't think so at all. But I personally think the practice of fasting is powerful. Food freedom clears the gut. The gut, if you think about it, Dr. Nelson, maybe you comment, what's our general recommendation of how many meals a day people should consume?
Well, if I listen to Dr. Mom, and we all grew with this, you have to have your breakfast and you have to eat 3 times a day. At least I know at our ages, and I know Ali is the baby here probably, but we all grew up 3 meals a day. Nowadays, people eat anywhere from 6 to 15 times a day because we got to keep the metabolism up, right? And I not too long ago got into a little argument with the partner of a patient I was seeing, and he was a bodybuilder, exercise guy, and no, she has to eat 6 times a day. Now she's having hypoglycemia episodes, and I'm trying to explain that if she actually eats a lot less, including a lot less high carbohydrate foods, she'll achieve the same results of keeping their blood sugar more stable. And he couldn't understand that.
And do you encourage fasting, and do you think it's really sort of pathological? You should never do that?
I think it's natural, but you know what? I had never done a full 24-hour fast until July 2024. Hasn't even been a year. No, July 2023, because that's when I started. Because when I went from doing a very strict keto to just carnivore, like on my 3rd day, I just didn't even plan it. I just didn't eat that day because I wasn't hungry. And it is freedom. It's food freedom. It's liberating to feel, okay, yesterday, last night, I've been fasting since Sunday, I said, and last night, everybody's eating in the house. I even cooked for my daughter something. And I'm thinking, well, maybe I should eat something, but I wasn't really hungry. So I didn't eat. I said, I'm going to have a very good breakfast this morning.
Kerry, maybe you could tell us a little bit about Dr. Seyfried and cancer and what you sort of learned from Dr. Seyfried's comments on his journey of teaching us about keto and how sugars seem to be fueling the cancer epidemic in this globe.
Yeah. I'm so thankful to our friend Jeff DeProsperous for putting me onto Professor Seyfried. We interviewed him for the documentary. We went to Boston College and we filmed him and 4 other individuals that work at the cancer lab there. And what I've learned from him is that he believes cancer is a metabolic disease with metabolic treatments. And I never, that was a big eye-opening thing for me as well, because I thought, we don't know what causes cancer. There's no cure for cancer, right? They're spending billions and billions of dollars every year trying to come up with a cure for cancer. I always thought it was just a fluke. And when Jeff was diagnosed with cancer, they told him, we don't know what caused your cancer. It's just a fluke. By the way, that was one thing I've learned filming this documentary that drives me nuts, is when people are told, it's just you. We don't know. You're just a fluke. But here's some medication, or here's a treatment for something that we don't know what the cause of it is. It's almost like, I've said this example before. I have a cousin. He's just a couple of years older than me, and type 2 diabetes. He lost part of his foot, was amputated. And just over Christmas, we saw him again, and he had just had his leg amputated at the knee from type 2 diabetes. And for him, he believes in his head, this is just me. There's something the way my body processes carbohydrates, not the fact that he's just consuming a ridiculous excessive amount of carbohydrates. That addiction's so strong, I guess. But so anyways, I think there's a lot of damage done when people are told this is just, we don't know, this is a fluke. When you don't address the root cause, I should say. So from Professor Seyfried, what we've learned is cancer is a metabolic disease. Cancer feeds on glucose and glutamine. And if you starve it of glucose, you can greatly increase your fight against cancer, I guess I'll say. The thing that I learned from Jeff that was incredible was he just wanted to get the word out about how much better he felt doing carnivore with cancer, because he did it both ways. When he first was diagnosed and he was doing chemo, he was on the standard American diet and he was suffering. Like, he was fatigued. He was on the couch. He was throwing up. He was sick. He was weak. He went carnivore and he's like, it's like, you can barely even notice it now. He's got the chemo bag on him. He's fasting for 5 days after it. He's running around. He's volunteering. He's coaching at the school. He's doing exercise with his boys, soccer practice. He's like, he told me at 44 years old with stage 4 cancer, doing carnivore, I feel better than I have my entire life. Like, that's a remarkable statement. And he wasn't just talk either, because Adam and I filmed him for a week and we could barely keep up with the guy. He was just the Energizer Bunny. So
yeah, every time I'm inspired by him, every time I hear and see the story, he's such a positive guy. And I think that the truth is, none of us know when we're going to go, and God's got this, and we have to have faith in some power that's more amazing. But he's here always to share the story, and don't give up, right? Don't give up.
Right. And one of the things Jeff said early, which kind of broke my heart, on one of the earliest live streams we had, someone said to him, Jeff, you're doing carnivore, like, you're so energetic, you're so healthy. When you overcome cancer, are you going to continue doing carnivore? And Jeff said, oh no, you don't understand. This cancer is going to take my life. I'm doing carnivore because it's drastically improving my life and extending my life. And it was such a hard thing to hear. Losing Jeff was obviously incredibly difficult. So many people didn't ever see it coming because he was just doing so well and he was so healthy. But he was given, it was a serious form of cancer he had. He was given months to live, 3 months to live, and he thrived for 30 months. The thing I love about Jeff too is he was such a helper. I did a little tribute video to him. Some of you may have seen it, but the number of, I compiled all of these interviews together, and the number of times he said, I just want to help people. I feel like that's my purpose in life, is to help others and get this word out. He wanted other people to know it. If you're diagnosed with cancer, you don't have to be hopeless. That was the biggest advice, and the biggest thing I learned from him is, if you're diagnosed with cancer, you have to take it into your own two hands. That was something Professor Seafried told me as well. I said, what would you do if you're diagnosed with cancer? He said, I would, of course, listen to the advice of my doctor, but then I would take it into my own two hands and I do my own research, because these doctors have very limited time. They don't have the investment that you have. They don't have the risk that you have of getting cancer. And Jeff's other advice was, besides taking it into your own two hands, was put together a plan and have some hope, because when he was diagnosed, he wasn't given any hope. He was just so go do chemo, and you got 3 months left, and that's it. So having a plan and having hope and starving that cancer was Jeff's advice.
I have a picture of my friend Dave Kilmer, who died at 52 of cancer. Craig Humphrey, who died at 62 of cancer, and my friend Jeff, also another Jeff, who died at 25 of glioblastoma. And I think the critical part is keep these stories in our light, in our lives, because they give us reason to keep on the journey, working to understand all of the parameters that may be the causative agents. And yet we still don't know when we're going to go.
Right. Hey, you want to know one other thing I want to say on this topic? Cancer is going to be a huge part of the documentary because of Jeff. I think it's one of the most important stories, because his was kind of a cautionary tale. Like, he never would have thought in a million years he would have gotten cancer, and he believed he caused it by lifestyle and diet. But just a couple of weeks ago, we were in Arizona and we filmed Tammy Peterson. She also was diagnosed with terminal stage 4 cancer and given months to live, and she's been in remission for 6 years. And one of the things I learned from her, and this was something that Jeff struggled with, and Dr. Kiltz, you gave me some good advice when I was asking you about this for Jeff, but you have to stop feeding the cancer the glucose and the glutamine. Those are two big parts of it. But mindset is hugely important. And that was something that was incredible when interviewing Tammy Peterson. She decided early on, she's like, if this is going to kill me, it's going to kill me. But I refuse to worry about it. And I don't know how she did it. I really don't. Like, her faith was so strong. I'm not sure what it was, but she was legit. Like, I am not worrying about this at all. And I think that's a big problem for so many people, obviously, right? If you were diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, you would be stressed and you would be worried. But Tammy found a way not to be stressed and not be worried. And that is huge, because I've learned doing this documentary that when you have stress, it turns into cortisol, it turns into glucose, and then you're refeeding the cancer. Your stress is kind of refeeding the cancer. So how do you not be stressed with stage 4 cancer? It's a tricky thing, but we talked to Tammy Peterson about that in the documentary, and she's been in remission. Horrible, like terminal stage 4 cancer for 6 years. She's been in remission now. So,
and I think I always say faith is first. You have to have faith in life and process. And if you realize that God has gifted us all of this, even the challenges, the hardships,
right,
and then brought each of us into this world in order to share the story of how we can come past this and beyond it and use it as our fuel for health and wellness.
Right. I think about that with Jeff, because his channel was Blessings on My Journey. And I'm trying to think, what sort of blessing is there in losing Jeff? It's such a horrible, hard thing to go through. One of the things I was thinking about with Jeff is, if Jeff was just 44 years ago, if he had an option and God said, hey, you can come to Earth, you're going to get 44 years on Earth. You're going to get to meet the love of your life, Martha. You're going to have 2 wonderful boys. You're going to have your dream job. But at 44, you're going to pass to stage 4 cancer. Would you still do all of it? I have absolutely no doubt he would enthusiastically want to do all of it. So I try to reframe it and think of things that way. But I think the other blessing on my journey is just Jeff being a helper and wanting to help so many people. the amount of people he's helped has been incredible. And we're going to try to show that in the documentary. In fact, we're filming Anthony Haydick, and Anthony has stage 4 GIST cancer. And he found carnivore only because of Jeff DeProsperous. He saw Jeff's video. He started doing carnivore, and this guy he's just like Jeff. He's next level. He's like, I feel better than I have my entire life. He's going to the gym. Like, that's his thing. He likes working out, and he's just absolutely ripped. Like, he's healthier, more muscular, better mood. Like, everything is just better for him doing carnivore. And he said, I never would have started if it wasn't for Jeff. Like, Jeff's story is what inspired Anthony. So,
well, I think it's important as we're seeing social media grow, and each and every one of us must share our stories, and they're critical. And I think that carnivore is the thing that, as a physician, I found, and I think Dr. Nelson could also comment on his experience, that fatty meat, salt water, one meal a day, to me, along with faith, is sort of my savior. Took me from depression, anxiety, migraines, bowel bleeding, arthritis, kidney stones, everything you can imagine, and giving worry up to the warrior. Just, give the worry to the warrior and he'll take care of it. That's really, really amazing. So any thoughts on how important is it to measure our cholesterol?
I believe my total cholesterol has gone up on carnivore, and after what I've learned, I'm actually ecstatic about that. Like I said earlier, I feel like I was deficient in cholesterol, and when I started getting that fatty meat, my cholesterol went up. Everything got better for me. My sleep improved, my immune system got stronger, the depression started lifting. So I'm excited for Tampa because Dr. Philip Ovadia is coming out there. And his story was a big part of my journey as well. Dante Ferrigno was one of the first ones. But after I watched Dante, I'm like, I was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. I can't eat meat. I'm going to clog my arteries. I'm going to have a heart attack. And then I heard Dr. Ovadia's story and his personal story, the fact that he was walking the walk. Some of these things with these stories, Dr. Kiltz, Dr. Ovadia was one of them, and Dr. Peterson was another. When I heard their story, and I really thought about it, I'm like, these guys have no upside to be telling these stories other than the fact that they're true and they want to heal other people. Dr. Peterson going on Joe Rogan, talking about carnivore, there's literally no upside and only downside negativity for him talking about that on Joe Rogan, getting criticized, ridiculed, things like that. So I'm like, this guy's got to be telling the truth. He's doing this because he wants to heal people. So, I'm so fortunate we got to interview Dr. Ovadia for the documentary. The biggest thing I learned from him is measuring your total cholesterol is foolish. It's the quality of your cholesterol that matters, not the quantity. And to measure the quality, there's other tests you can do. You can dig in deeper, but just looking at the total number is kind of pointless. And then I've also learned since then that there's a lot of misinformation out there about cholesterol. And people with elevated cholesterol numbers often live longer and have less disease. It's like everything's backwards. It's just crazy.
Well, so I go back to all the science on cholesterol is just BS. And I mean, what other organism, has to look up a paper in order to try to figure out,
if I should eat that.
Yeah, I mean, right?
Should I eat that or not? Oh, let me check my lab results.
Right.
Dr. Ovadia, Eve Medworth, Ovadia, Ovadia, Stay Off My Operating Table. I think that's the book, or off my, he's a cardiovascular surgeon, does open heart surgery. He's amazing. You got to check him out. There was a question from our mighty tribe. And Gianluca Clayton is asking about, he's a young guy, I think 17, worried about his cholesterol and LDL, HDL, VLDL. I don't even understand the science of it. How about you, Dr. Nelson? Is there really, have we proven we should be testing any of this stuff?
I like to test more than you do, but when I graduated from medical school, the normal cholesterol number was 300. Anything under 300 was okay. and you can check it out. Back in the early 80s, that was the number. Also, for years, the recommendation of some societies was don't eat more than 300 milligrams a day of cholesterol. They've taken very silently. They've taken that particular recommendation away because the latest science is it doesn't matter how much you eat. You know why? Your liver produces 5,000 milligrams of cholesterol every day. Limiting your dietary cholesterol to 300 doesn't make a difference, actually. And your cholesterol goes up in some people. And are you considered a lean mass hyperresponder, Kerry?
I'm not sure. I that was something I wanted to dig into, but I'm kind of like I just feel great, so I'm not haven't really gone.
You might be. Anyway, it seems maybe 75% to 80% of the people who go into very low carbohydrate diets and carnivore diet, actually their cholesterol goes down, not up. Okay, cholesterol doesn't go up on everyone, but it apparently doesn't have anything to do with the amount that you eat in your diet, but how your body is functioning when you are in that dietary pattern.
Hepatogenous diabetes. Has anyone heard of it? Hepatogenous diabetes. Look it up. Basically, probably the most single leading cause of disease is damage to the liver, which causes something called insulin resistance. And then eventually you get hepatogenous diabetes, which cirrhosis and fatty liver, which is just fibrosis, is our big culprit. And I just think 99% of science is just, snake oil. And I'm a scientist.
Right. That was my other epiphany doing all this whole documentary, Dr. Kiltz, is how foolish I was all these years for listening to science or studies. And it's so clear now because you'd see the study on the news or on social media. Eggs are great for you. Go eat eggs. And then a week later, eggs are going to kill you. Stop eating eggs. And it would go back and forth and back and forth. And then I started learning more about these observational studies where people are like, yeah, I ate a bunch of meat. And then they say, oh, meat causes heart disease. And they're not accounting for the fact that people are eating McDonald's and they're eating French fries and a bun and ice cream and all of that stuff gets a pass. But the little tiny burger on there, that's the culprit. And that's what's getting us. There's so much misinformation on these studies. And like, it seems like every study you could make it go this way or you can make it go that way. You could manipulate it any way you want.
Well, go ahead, doctor.
I'm sorry. I do have a question for Kerry about his story. When you were born, I have a question about, because you've given your history throughout.
Wait a minute. We are not certain that Kerry Mann was born. Well, let's go with that premise.
Right.
Were you diagnosed with a heart problem at birth or near birth? Your first few years?
I was never diagnosed with a heart problem, but I was born with an irregular heartbeat. But it was never caused issues for me.
No heart murmur?
No heart murmur, just an irregular heartbeat.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's a really weird kind of irregular heartbeat. I don't know what that means, but every time they get it checked, they're like, oh, that's kind of weird. And the doctor I would go to near here, they had like one thing they would check the heart with, and because of the irregularity of the heartbeat, it would screw up the reading and they would have to do it on a different thing. But it was always an irregular heartbeat, but it never caused issues until about 8 years ago when I had a TIA mini stroke. And then they did a bunch of tests and then they diagnosed me with the congestive heart failure. So I feel like that was later after I gained all my weight, but yeah.
Can we just simply say, forget all the diagnostic testing and all the measurements, that plants in and of themselves and the oils from plants may be more harmful than good for us? You think that's a a broad enough statement that covers, without all cholesterol and LDL, VLDL, HDL, and measuring your mTORs or your glycogen stores. Have you ever measured glycogen stores, Dr. Nelson?
Nope.
Do we even know it's true? I mean, ultimately, we're questioning the science. Why wouldn't we question all the science? I'm just curious. And I mean, Kerry, how'd you do in science class?
Okay.
Okay.
I wasn't a great student all around.
Right on. So it wasn't the science that gave you this magic to share this way of eating. It was the experience in the stories. And why are we waiting for some scientific paper to tell us the proper way to eat?
Right. Yeah.
Do we need that?
I don't think we need it. I'm with you. And I heard Dr. Jordan Peterson say this. He's like, at what point does it become science? He's obviously hugely popular. He's got tens of thousands of people coming to him saying, I did carnivore and I reversed my depression. I reversed this health issue. Like, at what point is it going to be enough people? Just on my little channel myself, the number of stories of healing have just been unbelievable, to the point where I have to like pause and be like appreciative of it and not let it be a new normal. Oh, you lost 100 pounds on carnivore. Heard that like 100 times already now. That's great. Good for you. But you hear so many of these stories now. It's becoming normal. It's getting kind of crazy.
So eating fat, and when I say fat comes from an animal, oils come from plants. I don't think there's any fat in a plant. An avocado is a fruit. Sorry. Right? But would you say that eating fat is probably the single most important part of this story?
Absolutely. I stole it from you, Dr. Kiltz, but I say it over and over again. It shouldn't be called carnivore. It should be called fativore. It's all about getting fat. And I repeat that. It's so important because I've got a lot of new people just starting carnivore, and a lot of them mess it up. It seems so simple, but they'll eat chicken and they'll eat fish and they won't get the fat, and then they're going to struggle on carnivore. Right. So I always give you credit, but I say, as Dr. Kiltz taught me, it should be called fativore, not carnivore. It's all about getting the fat.
Right.
Yeah, and this is, I know there are a few comments. Jonathan Fay is a good friend met through carnivore. Again, all of the people here I call my good friends because we've met together on this journey of healing. Experiment on myself, carnivore fixes all. Lisa, let's see, carnivore is the ultimate healing diet, so I would think it can help any kind of sickness. I'm not a doctor, of course, but maybe why have we given doctors the accolades if we need to be questioning every human being, no matter whatever labels, right? Healed 35 medical issues I had from eating low carb, super low carb, ketovore and carnivore for the last 4 years. It has changed my life to not eat the standard American diet. When I eat pure carnivore, I feel the very best.
Wow. 35. That's incredible.
Wow.
See,
wow.
These stories never get old to me. Every single time puts a big smile on my face. I think that's why I love these meetups too, Dr. Kiltz. I've been trying to think about this. Why do I love other carnivores and hanging out with them so much? Part of it's because they found healing. They want to share their story. But the other thing I think that's interesting is you got to be a little weird or a little brave to do carnivore, because you're kind of going against everything you've ever been told. And I think maybe that's another reason it's fun to hang out with. It's fun to hang out with people that are brave are pretty cool, right? Like in the movies, we like looking at action heroes and people that are brave. So meeting people that are brave in real life, I think is pretty awesome.
I think that's really important. So someone brought up a comment on the Mighty Tribe. Should we call ourselves fativores or lipivores? Lipid, the word lipid is another scientific jargon that I think fat is clear, right? It's a common word. Lipids, what's a lipid? Can you tell me what a lipid really is?
I can't. It's something when you get your cholesterol tested.
I can't, I'm like, I don't know if it sounds complicated. And do we need Harvard to tell us how to handle our illnesses?
No.
It hasn't worked so far.
It really hasn't, right? Olive oil. I mean, olive oil is a plant product, is it not?
Yeah.
How do we know it's good for us?
Right.
That's another thing I've come across on carnivore is people that say, well, what about this? What about that? I can tolerate this. I can tolerate that. And I'm just like, should we be eating things just because we could tolerate them?
Right.
I choose not to eat things, even if I could tolerate it. I've used this example before because I think it's funny. I could tolerate eating cardboard, but that doesn't mean I want to or should do it. I feel incredible just eating the fatty meat. So I stick with that. Oftentimes we get these questions, what about this or what about that? I'm like, I don't know. I feel optimal eating fatty meat, drinking water, a little bit of salt. So that's what I've done now. I'm almost on 700 days too, by the way. Haven't deviated at all. I feel too good to mess with it.
I'm a deviant. I occasionally have Kiltz's ice cream or fries.
Right.
But
I can't do that, Dr. Kiltz. I tried when I did the ketogenic diet. And for me, I feel I know everybody's different. Everyone's on their own journey, but I cannot abstain at all. If I get a little taste of sugar, I go off the rails and I start binging, and then a day turns into a weekend, turns into a week, turns into a month.
Well, here's my theory on it. So, how is protein metabolized?
I don't know.
It breaks down it converts to sugar in the liver.
Ah.
So it is no different than a sweet sugar from a plant. The problem is most plants also come with other poisons and not enough animal fat. So small amounts from time to time aren't really the cause of the disease. And I believe you're right, but we live in an addictive environment. We in ourselves are not addicted. We've been brainwashed to be addicted also. So I would say that maybe as we begin to change our mindset in this whole process, because you have a food disorder, an eating disorder, right? Well, no, you don't. You've been plopped in the middle of a marijuana field and taught that smoking marijuana is good for you, right? And eating it, right? We know it is not, but we've been brainwashed to believe in these problems when we have more strength than anything ever in the universe. So I think that small amounts infrequently, we are powerful enough to do that. And as our mindset changes and our ability to realize that, small amounts infrequently are not likely our problem as long as you consume the fat. And I think fasting, like you're talking about, is really radical and great.
Dr. Kiltz, can you answer this question? Hi, will this shrink my fibroids?
I've seen fibroids, tumors shrink on carnivore and fasting for sure. Because look up goitrogenic foods. I don't have the paper here, but look up goitrogenic foods. They're tumorgenic. So all fruits, vegetables, seeds, and nuts, their methods of protecting themselves is to control and kill you. And I think that's what Kerry is saying. I'm not touching that shit because it just wants to control and kill me.
Right.
Exactly. I want to say there's 275 people watching. This is amazing. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We do have a few minutes left, but I just want to give a shout out. Dr. Kiltz does this every morning at 5 a.m. Sometimes we have guests, sometimes we don't, but come and hang out with us, 5 a.m. Eastern, whatever time that is in your planet, your side of the planet.
And Kerry, do you think we get the most minerals and vitamins from the plants or the animals?
From the animals. And that was something I learned from Dr. Chafee early on. He said, we get everything we need from a fatty ribeye in the proper proportions, and we can live on that forever. Literally, you can't say the same for plants. You will die if you try to do that with plants. And it's It's true, because here I am 700 days later, and that's all I've eaten. I'm not only alive, I'm absolutely thriving and feel better than I have my entire life.
We're trying to hold him back, but he breaks the chains. That's the beauty of Kerry Mann and
Right.
carnivore. And so, Kerry, tell us before we end our time here today, a little bit about the reason you're doing this, Healing Humanity, where people can go and how they can contribute to their health and wellness, and not wait for the government or scientists to show them the way.
Yeah, the reason I'm doing Healing Humanity, the documentary, is because I was hopeless for so many years, and I saw the incredible healing when you change your nutrition. And then I started hearing stories from other individuals that have found incredible healing. And I was so hopeless for so long, and I realized there's a lot of people hopeless in the world right now. I think there's more people hopeless in the world now than ever throughout history. Something like 1 billion people with a B that have mental health issues right now. And I believe most of them they don't know that the nutrition is even a factor. I had no clue that it was just nutrition. And so the whole reason I wanted to do Healing Humanity, the documentary, was for mental health, depression, and anxiety. But then I started seeing, wait a minute, this is having benefits for fertility, for IBS, for type 2 diabetes, for all sorts of other issues. So that's the goal with the documentary, is to share the stories of real individuals doing a proper human diet. A couple of them are doing it for a year, and we just want to share the truth. Nothing biased, no agenda, just the truth. So, Nicholas, how can we be a part of Healing Humanity from Nova Scotia? So anyone that wants to be a part of Healing Humanity, our website is healinghumanity.movie. You can donate if you'd like. This entire project is crowdfunded, which I'm very proud about. Most documentaries you see right now are bought and paid for by a pharmaceutical or Beyond Meat, some sort of company that's trying to sell you something, and then the message is biased. Ours has been completely crowdfunded. We have raised almost $250,000, which is just incredible. Although it's just a fraction of what is needed to do a documentary like this that we hope to get on the big screen and reach millions of people. We're almost done filming it. We filmed 45 individuals. We have about 4 left for the main documentary, but the real expensive part is the post-production, the editing, the color grading, and the marketing, and all of that. And that's where we're going to next. But we also have a membership site, healinghumanity.life. You can join that from anywhere. It's a great community. We've got doctor experts on. Dr. Kiltz is going to be on soon. We just had Dr. Baker on the other day. We do Zoom calls. One of the things that we're doing differently that I really I think will help a lot of people is we're trying to inspire people. We're trying to put the stories out there, raise up the inspiration. And we also have a Breaking Addictions call, which is like a 12-step program similar to Alcoholics Anonymous for people that have trying to get over their sugar addiction. So we're doing some of those things differently. Healinghumanity.life, healinghumanity.movie is where you can find more. And if you have your own story, we're going to be doing this series, I think, forever. I don't think it's ever going to end. You can submit your story at healinghumanity.movie. There's a contact form there that you can share.
And we've committed up to $100,000 for this mission, by the way. And we want matching funds for this. So everything you donate, we're going to match it up to $100,000 this year. Kerry and the whole team is doing amazing. There's nothing like it in the world that I can see. It's community crowdfunded, meaning it cares about you individually. You're investing in your health and wellness by giving to this amazing cause, and there's only gain around the globe. And I keep on meeting amazing people on the journey. I'm a groupie. I just show up at Healing Humanities, and what can I do? And so I want to inspire everyone. We are our meetup in Tampa. We're having a small gathering also at my house on the 7th evening. There may be a few tickets left. It's $750, but that money goes to Healing Humanity, and it also includes the Saturday events also. So again, everything and anything that we can all do together, and I'm blessed to be able to do this and donate this because of the life I've been leading. But I too have healed on carnivore, and of everything and anything I've ever learned, and I know Dr. Nelson feels the same, that carnivore is a game changer in this journey. So Kerry, to you and your family and all of this is a family. This is a family around the globe. We're all part of the Healing Humanity global family, whatever language, religion, whatever politics, it really doesn't matter.
Right.
I have a question relating to the documentary. Now, the other day, Adam answered this question. I just want to confirm. If you buy a ticket to go to Dr. Kiltz, $750 for that special gathering, your name then will be one of, in the credits at least, of the Healing Humanity movie. Is that correct?
I can confirm that is indeed correct. So if you do the big VIP package at Dr. Kiltz's house, your name will be in the credits, which is, I just want to say one more time, thank you so much, Dr. Kiltz, for all of your support and for doing this. It's so humbling. It's gets me emotional. I really, really appreciate all your support personally as a friend, your big heart coming out to all of these, but also putting this event on. It's absolutely incredible. We couldn't be doing it without you. So thank you so much. And that VIP event, I just want to shout it out one more time. What an opportunity to go to Dr. Kiltz's house. It's going to be a small gathering of people where you'll be able to go one-on-one with Dr. Kiltz and Dr. Ovadia, all of these amazing individuals that are going to be there. So a huge opportunity. But yeah, thank you, Dr. Nelson, for reminding me of that. Your name will be in the credits as well.
And everyone that donates to Healing Humanity in some way is getting credits on this movie. Is that in some way that everyone is credited? I would say $1 is credit through the crowd community funding.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to do some sort of thing in the credits of the movie to, of course, acknowledge all of that. But yeah, most of our donations have been through the GoFundMe, and every penny we get from that goes 100% towards the documentary. I haven't taken a paycheck. This is a passion project. Adam, we've got volunteers on the team, literally spent thousands of hours, donated thousands of hours of their own time, myself included. Not saying that to pat myself on the back or pat Adam on the back, but just to show that this is a true passion project where I feel like I was so sick for so long because of greed, and it's nice to be able to do something just for the sake of doing a good thing and helping people and for the passion of it. So
I do it for the community, and I too, there's the one thing and I know Dr. Nelson, I mean, we in medicine are here to help heal humanity. And the more we could do this, that we're not needed in our standard day medical job, that's really what we're here for.
Right. Oh, one last thing I'll say real quick. For those that are thinking about coming out to Tampa, the other thing is Adam and I are going to be showing a little sneak peek trailer for the documentary, and spoiler alert, it's starring Dr. Robert Kiltz. And that's one of my favorite 3 minutes in the documentary is the Dr. Kiltz scene. So you guys will be able to see that too if you come on out.
All right. Blessings, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Nelson, for being here, Kerry for being here, and everyone on Mighty Tribe, the Dr. Kiltz Instagram. Appreciate everyone. And, of course, YouTube, Facebook. And to our TikTok followers around the globe, we appreciate you staying, hanging out. Even though in America it's dark right now, we know who knows what's going on, but we're working on our X and all that stuff. But and put yourself out there to share your story. Isn't that what we're asking everyone to do, Kerry?
100%. Yeah, that's the biggest advice. Share your story either individually with your friends and family, or put it out there on YouTube, put it out on social media. You can help inspire so much change.
Let's go.
Okay,
Heal humanity.
Let's go.
Let's go. We got to say goodbye, everybody. We love you. Goodbye.
See you,
Have
everyone.
a good day.